Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton, and it's time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap. But and look, I can move my lip. Isn't that great? So the Novocaine wore off. It didn't wear off before I went to bed though, and I was getting nervous because I was like, "Oh my God, I hope this wears off before I have to go to work tomorrow." But yeah, it was fine when I woke up. It was gone. So now my teeth are nice and clean, and I have the feeling in my lip. And then in my pimple update, it is. See, it's almost gone. So it's nice and healed. Okay, so before I get into today's Sudsy recap, which is about Vanderpump Rules, I have to tell you a story about my friend Cameron. I mean, first of all, my friend Cameron, or John, if you know him as John, either one, he's a trip. I gotta give him props. He's actually really funny. He's really funny. Most of the time, though, it's not intentional comedy. Like, for one thing, he is constantly fucking people's names up. Like, just beyond recognition. Like, it is pretty crazy. So, but the one time he did it on, and he's never on purpose. It is never on purpose. He's always just getting, okay, I'll tell this. Okay, two camera stories. So the first one, this will tell you exactly how much he always fucks people's names up. So we were out in West Hollywood partying one night, and it happened to be Oscar Sunday. And a lot of the restaurants and places around West Hollywood always host Oscar parties. And like the Pacific Design Center always hosts the HBO party. The Mortons always hosts the Vanity Fair party, although it's not Morton's anymore. I forget what it is now, but it was Morton's back then. So anyways, so one night, it was actually Oscar Sunday, and we were out partying, because I used to go out every fucking night of the week. And I didn't even drink, and I would go out and I would just dance the house down every night. Every night. It was crazy. And I didn't even like go home with anybody. I just went out to have fun and dance, and it was the best time. But, okay, anyways. Yeah, but those days are over. I'm exhausted. Okay, so we're on our way back to our car, because I'll tell you one thing. I'm from Southern California. I refuse to pay for parking. I'm sorry. I could pay $20 in parking, one of those, especially on Oscar Sunday. They really hike up the rates. But fuck no. I would rather walk a mile and pay zero, and then dance and then walk a mile back, right? So we were walking back to the car because it was a little bit of a hike, and we had to go past Morton's. And there's a whole line of limousines, and waiting to go into Morton's and either pick people up or drop people off or whatever. And as one of the celebrities that's there decides, I'm not gonna wait on this line. I know, I see my limo, I'm gonna get in my limo, and he comes right out, and it's Adrian Brody from The Pianist. Right? Who is really kind of cute in person. Like, he's kind of hot. Anyways, so he gets in the car, and Cameron, who is drunk off his ass, like totally drunk, he's like, "Oh my God, hey, I love you in the OC." I was mortified. I was like, "Cameron, that's Adam Brody. That's Adrian Brody from The Pianist." And he's like, "Whatever." And then he just puked all over into the gutter. It was the most hysterical thing. Okay, so anyways, but that is just one example of how he is constantly fucking people's names up all the time, right? Well, the one time he did it on purpose, it was really, really funny. We were with a bunch of friends from up north, like our friend Dennis, Jeremy, Samuel. I'm trying to remember everybody's name, so if I've left anyone out, forgive me. Travis. So anyway, so we were with a bunch of our friends from up north. This was during White Party. And he was like, yeah, and this was so good because they didn't know, they weren't quite sure if he was fucking with them, but I knew he was fucking with them, but it was really hilarious. He was like, yeah, that one singer that sings that song, I think it's called Royals, what's her name, Lordy? Hilarious. He knows her name is Lord, and it was. But the reason what made me think of that is that they just had the Lord episode on South Park, so it reminded me of Cameron. So, anyways, shout out to Cameron. I know he watches these, so I want to say shout out to you, Cameron. And White Party's coming up. Oh, White Party. Okay. Anyways, so moving on. Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules, so they had their season finale. And it was good and it was bad. You know, the good, there's lots of good in it. The good was we actually got to see the full ceremony of Tom and Katie's wedding. And Lisa Vanderpump said some nice things as the officiant of the ceremony. Now, she didn't like say like, you know, like a Maya Angelou level shit, but I thought it was good. It was fine. And Tom and Katie thought it was perfect. And they're really the only ones that matter. So if they were happy, good on you, Lisa Vanderpump. You get it. So, and you know what? And I still say I like her better in that show than I do in Beverly Hills Housewives. But anyways, regardless. I mean, I like her in Beverly Hills Housewives just fine, but I just like her better in Vanderpump Rules. Okay, moving on. So, that was nice, and James and Lala weren't in the episode, suspiciously. And there was one scene at the end, which actually was kind of good. I thought it was a good scene. It wasn't good in real life, but Sheena and Shay were basically getting divorced, which was and I get that the producers of the show wanted to show one couple gets married and the other one gets divorced. Life giveth and life taketh away. You know, all that crap, right? And everyone else was experiencing varying levels of happiness, you know, like Brittany and Jax were together and they were like, you know, we are going to eventually get married. You know, I promise you, I'm not stringing you along. And that was really sweet. Although he tried to fake her out with like, you know what, I'm just not happy. And she was like, what? It was pretty good. Give Jax a little bit of credit. It was pretty good. And then Tom Sandoval and Ariana, they were always happy, but Ariana actually had a moment with Stassi, of all people, where she kind of broke down and started crying. And I was like, oh my God, this is really, this is like great. And Crazy Kristen was nowhere to be found. Her and Carter were just happy as, it was just a really great ceremony. So that was really good. The downside is I felt like they had peaked the day before. Because I didn't cry during the finale. I didn't. But I cried the week before. I mean, I was a sobbing, weeping mess the week before. It was so good. It was so good. And even today, because if you watch my whole Sudsy recap series, not just Vanderpump Rules, you know that I'm constantly talking about soap weddings and how a lot of soap weddings, they're not what they were in the 80s. They were amazing in the 80s and in the 90s. But, you know, back then they had big budgets and they could go to all these places, which for some reason The Bold and Beautiful still does. Now, I realize that The Bold and Beautiful makes a lot of money in international syndication, but all of the other shows do too. So why don't they get it? So that means that the producers, aka Sony and ABC, Disney, are sucking up a lot of the money and they're not giving it to the people, because we want to see some good soap weddings. Now, I also mentioned that the soap weddings, they don't have to be on location shoots. They can be in the studio, and because Young and the Restless aired a vintage episode of Victor and Nikki's first wedding. It was in the studio, but it was glamorous and grandiose and amazing. It was wonderful. I mean, that is the type of, it's again, this type of soap wedding that, I mean, it was in 1984. Okay, so anyways, but I told them, I was like, you know what? Reality TV now has totally usurped soaps for the weddings, you know, because that wedding on Vanderpump Rules was fucking classic. It was the best. I mean, I wouldn't put it up there with like Luke and Laura's wedding, which I also watched, but it was also, but it was close. It was pretty fucking close. I really enjoyed it a lot. Now, they did tease a little bit of the reunion next week, which is going to be great because Lala comes back. Shay comes back after not having talked with Sheena for like 3 months or however long. Like, they didn't even speak. So this is going to be, and I'm sure, and James Kennedy comes back. So this is going to be so good. I don't know if that girl Gigi's coming back. I hope Gigi comes in and she lets him have it. And that other girl, Ellie, I hope she comes. There's a lot of drama that I hope happens. And they said that this is the reunion to end reunions and it's going to be real dramatic. Now, normally, because a lot of people say that about every reunion. You know, so people have said it so much that I really don't care or I don't believe it. But Vanderpump Rules kids have never said that. And they were all afterwards saying, yeah, that was a little bit surprising. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out. So I think it'll be very interesting. So, and then I don't know if it's a multi-part reunion or if it's just one episode, or, and I don't know if they're doing any lost footage like they do with the Housewives normally. So I'm gonna still do these recaps as long as there's episodes. So after that, it's time for Below Deck. Okay, so anyways, thank you so much for logging on. I do appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Angel Benton. You can hashtag Pump Rules to talk Vanderpump Rules. You can also hashtag Bold and Beautiful to talk Bold and Beautiful. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great night. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.